Hello, I am the Noetherian, and this is my third in a sequence of videos in which I'm illustrating each of the 6 faction combinations that is available in the new SoulForge draft mode that was recently released. So this is Pack 1, Pick 1. I think there are basically 2 options in this pack. One of them is Ferocious Roar. Ferocious Roar is excellent in pretty much any Uterra deck. One of the things I like in a first pick is a card that can work in any of the archetypes associated with a particular faction. So I think Roar on creatures with armor is really great if you play Uterra Alloyin. If you play Uterra Tempest, roaring on a move creature can get a lot of damage through. Roaring on a mystic can be quite scary. If you play a swarm deck like Uterra Necrium, you can get a lot of value from your roar by hitting 4 or 5 creatures at once. So a big fan of Ferocious Roar, great spell, very flexible. The other option is Orion Battle Droid. Orion Battle Droid is a high armor card. Some decks in the format are going to have a hard time dealing with armor. So if your opponent is playing Necrium, if your opponent has the new Banshee, or is playing with Ghastly Touch, Witherfrost Succubus is sometimes seen in draft. There's a number of Necrium cards, obviously Epidemic if they're lucky enough to have one, that can destroy Battle Droid. So it's not great in every matchup. On the other hand, if you get it up into the right matchup, if you're playing a deck that's mostly Alloyin, playing a Tempest Uterra deck, the armor on the Battle Droid can cause all sorts of problems. I think my favorite deck for Battle Droid is an Uterra Alloyin deck. An Enraged Battle Droid is really a scary, scary thing for many decks to deal with. So I think I'm going to take Ferocious Roar here. It's a really tough call, but I think that Ferocious Roar works better in a wider variety of matchups than Battle Droid. Like Battle Droid, when it is good, it is better than Roar, but sometimes you're going to find yourself in matchups where it's just not very good. Whereas Ferocious Roar can win you games in a wide variety of decks and against a wide variety of opponents. So now, let's see what my options are. So I could grab the Lightbringer Cleric and put off the decision of what to take as my second faction. Lightbringer Cleric's a good all-around card. I'm never unhappy to have one of those in an Uterra deck. Solid stats at both level 1 and level 2, but I'm not excited about picking it. But it's a fine card if I don't like any of the other options and I want to keep myself open. Not really happy with either of the Necrium cards. Cull the Weak just isn't particularly good in a Uterra Necrium deck. Zombie Infantry is fine, but you have no trouble picking up Zombie Infantries later in the draft if you need them. It tends to be a card. It's a common card and tends to be one that floats to the middle of packs. I think the pick here is Forge Plate Sentry. I mentioned with Battle Droid that cards like Enrage and Ferocious Roar work really well with armor. And so I think that with Ferocious Roar, I'd like to play some armored creatures in Alloyin. If I could get a Battle Droid, that would be awesome. That's probably not going to happen, but I can end up probably with a couple of Forge Plate Sentries there at common, maybe get a Forge Guardian Beta, maybe pick up an Aegis Conscript or two, and I think that makes up the core of a very good Alloyin Uterra deck. So in general, I'm going to be looking for creatures with armor whenever I have the opportunity. I'm also going to be prioritizing Enrage, Grove Huntress, any of the Uterra growth spells. So let's see. Aetherhounds is a great card in a Swarm deck. I'm not really thinking that this is going to go in the direction of a Swarm deck, although I'm never unhappy to have an Aetherhounds. Definitely like Aetherhounds better than Hunting Pack because of the consistency. Primal Surge is an interesting card. I'm not quite sure what to make of the Surges yet in Draft. I've played around with them a little bit. You give up some. You generally have to give up some board position early in order to level your Surge, but the free +2/+2 can easily swing a combat later on in the game. It's particularly nice to toss a Primal Surge 2 onto like a Forge Plate Sentry 2. I think I'm going to take Primal Surge. I think that it's not as good. I would generally value Enrage or Strength in Numbers higher than I value Primal Surge, just because +2/+2, +3/+3, +1/+1, not very big numbers. But sometimes it's enough to swing a combat, change a trade into your favor, and the fact that it's free at level 2 and 3, if things are going well early game and I can afford to play a Primal Surge 1, there is significant payoff later on. So I'm going to try the Primal Surge, but I'm not... It's possible that Aetherhounds is a better pick there. Aetherhounds is certainly more consistent. Let's see. Oxidon Spitter is a very good card against Forge Plate Sentry, Aegis Conscript, the type of creatures that I'm hoping to draft. I'm never sad to have one Oxidon Spitter in a deck. I probably never want more than 2, but having a single Spitter can be useful when my opponent puts out their Battle Droid. Forge Guardian Alpha is a reasonable blocking creature, can help you to survive into the late game. Works better in a deck that is playing something like a Scrapforge Titan. If you're stalling for something really big late game, Forge Guardian Alpha can be an asset. Also, obviously, Forge Guardian Alpha works well with the like Tempest plus Alloyin Jetpack move deck. But I think I'm going to take one Oxidon Spitter. And always happy to have a Vault Technician. Let's see where I am. I think Strength in Numbers is the pick here. If I take the Strength in Numbers, for the rest of the draft, I'm going to need to value cards like Aetherhound and Bright Tusk Sower a little bit higher than I would otherwise in an Uterra Alloyin deck. Given that I'm playing Uterra Alloyin, I'd probably rather have an Enrage than a Strength in Numbers because I'm not going to be swarming as much. Nonetheless, I think getting one Strength in Numbers is certainly nice. And this is a tough pick. If I had not just grabbed the Strength in Numbers, I would not hesitate to grab a War Charger. War Charger is a really strong card. It's a good card with Ferocious Roar. It's a good card to put an Enrage on. But the Bright Tusk Sower... Bright Tusk Sower is also a good utility card. Works well with Ferocious Roar. Helps to power my Strength in Numbers. I think I'm more likely to see a War Charger later in the draft than I am to see a Bright Tusk Sower, so I'm going to take the Sower. This is going to end up being a little bit more swarmy than some of the Alloyin Uterra decks that I've drafted, but I think it could work. And speaking of swarmy, there's my Aetherhounds. And here's another Strength in Numbers. Okay, so actually, this deck is... Yeah, so I only have 2 Alloyin cards in the deck, and the deck is looking to be a fairly effective swarm deck. I'm going to need more right now I've got the Forge Plate Sentry. I'm going to want to grab at least one other big Alloyin creature, maybe two other big Alloyin creatures to wear the Strength of Numbers. But this could work out. Probably Bramblewood Guardian. I've seen Strength in Numbers on a Bramblewood Guardian 2 before. You get like a Strength in Numbers 1 or 2 onto a Bramblewood Guardian 2, and it can become difficult for some opposing decks to deal with. Let's see. Certainly do not want the Steel Shaper Savant, given the way my deck is going, with only 2 Alloyin spells. I think Grove Huntress is the pick here. Venom Fang is an excellent utility card. Certainly would not mind drafting a Venom Fang. Venom Fang, if you remember, is the new card that gives poison when it comes into play. Oftentimes, Venom Fang can trade with an equal level creature in one lane while having an effect in a second lane with the poison. And that type of effect, like you see with Magma Hound, is quite valuable. It's perhaps a little bit weaker than Magma Hound because it can't take out... because it can't instantly take out a blocker to help you get damage through. On the other hand, and the poison is a little bit delayed, but it has slightly better stats than Magma Hound, which certainly makes up for it. So probably I think the Grove Huntress is the pick here. Cavern Hydra is an interesting option just because Cavern Hydra 2 is very good with a Strength in Numbers or a Ferocious Roar. Would not mind having a Cavern Hydra in this deck, but I think I need to take the Grove Huntress if it's available. Choice between a Forge Plate Sentry and a Forge Guardian Beta. I think I need to take the Beta. Both of these are excellent cards. Forge Plate Sentry has a little bit higher armor. Also a little bit higher health. Forge Plate Sentry then is probably slightly better at the level 2 you see Forge Plate Sentry is a 9/9 armor 3. Beta is an 8/6 armor 2. So the Forge Guardian Beta is going to be slightly better at level 2, especially if you roar it or enrage it. But I think just having the inevitability of a Forge Guardian 3, Forge Guardian 3 will win you almost any game in which it comes out. So I think I take the Forge Guardian Beta. And I'm not really looking to win in player level 3. I'd love to get into a strong position in player rank 2, where I can put things away. But depending on what the opposing deck is, it's nice to have that late game Behemoth at my disposal. I'll take the Enrage here. Aegis Conscript. Shardblade Assassin is one of the strongest level 2 creatures in the game. Again, as I said, I love to, with this type of Uterra Alloyin deck, I love to essentially put the game away. Realistically, games are unlikely to end during player level 2, but with this deck, this type of a mid-range deck, I'm trying to get myself into a position where the game is all but won due to my board position in player level 2, and Shardblade Assassin is great for that. You put out a Shardblade Assassin, you roar the Assassin, and it's just incredibly difficult for my opponent's level 2 creatures to deal with. Often you can get not only a 2-for-1, but you can get 2 actually fairly strong creatures that your opponent needs to use in order to take down an Assassin. Let's see. So here I think I'm looking at the Nexus Pilot. Nexus Pilot, again, is a great level 1 and level 2 stats if you put it in the middle lane. Again, because I have a lot of growth cards, Enrage, Grove Huntress, Strength in Numbers, Nexus Pilot is a good choice for wearing one of those cards. I'm tempted to take a second Grove Huntress. I think Grove Huntress is very, very good in this kind of deck, but at the moment I have more growth cards and fewer cards, fewer like strong creatures to wear my enchantments. And interesting. Life Shaper Savant. I think I need to take the Life Shaper Savant. Given that this deck is more Uterra than Alloyin, I think I can get good use out of a Life Shaper Savant. And I'm now offered the Avatar. I'm... What is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? If I go almost all Uterra for the rest of the match, or for the rest of the draft, I could get decent use out of the Avatar. Guess it's really I already have an Oxidon Spitter. Probably don't need many Oxidon Spitters. Yes, I have a hard time dealing with armor, but, you know, I can make big armored creatures and put them in front of my opponent's big armored creatures, and so I'm not... It's not not a great matchup, but in the mirror match, I don't think it's worth drafting additional Spitters just for the mirror match. Aegis Pulse is generally underwhelming. This is the type of deck that Aegis Pulse is good in. Again, I'm still not excited about Aegis Pulse. If I ended up with an Aegis Pulse in this deck, I would not be unhappy, because getting a little bit of armor on say a Bramblewood Guardian that has been enraged is nice, but I'm going to try the Rootforged Avatar. I think this is a questionable pick. There's a reasonable chance that I might pick up an Aegis Pulse later on, but I'm going to take Rootforged Avatar and then try to push as hard towards Uterra as I can for the rest of the draft. I think having one Feral Instinct as a closeout card can be useful. Noxious Cloud is the other pick here. I think Noxious Cloud is very reasonable against Swarm decks. You do see a fair number of like Uterra Necrium Swarm decks in draft. But I'm going to take the Feral Instinct. And I can't believe I got a second Ferocious Roar. This is going to be a fun draft. I love Ferocious Roar. And this is a great deck for it. And a Battle Droid. Surely I have to take Battle Droid here. I already have 2 strength in numbers. A second Nexus Pilot is great. Don't mind having a Scythian Infiltrator, but surely Battle Droid is the pick here in a deck with 2 Roars. There's no way I want the Steel Shaper Savant. Tech Upgrade is an interesting pick because it gives some armor to a creature. I think that... I think putting like a Tech Upgrade on a Nexus Pilot or a Shardblade Assassin and then hoping to draw Roar is a reasonable strategy. But... but I really don't want to put a marginal Alloyin card in the deck. I'd like, at this point, all of the Alloyin cards that I draft to be really high-impact cards because of the Life Shaper Savant and the Rootforged Avatar. How many spells do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to take the Primal Surge, see how this works out for me. Actually, Bear Rider... No, I think Bear Rider is the pick here. I think I've got so many... I'm worried about Primal Surge leading me to awkward draws early game. I don't want to be drawing too many utility spells and not enough core creatures. So Bear Rider is another one of those creatures that's very, very strong at level 2. I'm going to take the Bear Rider over the Primal Surge, although I think... that's a really close call. Here I need to choose between a Forge Plate Sentry and a Bramblewood Guardian. I think Forge Plate Sentry is clearly the better card in isolation. That being said, Bramblewood Guardian works very, very well with Ferocious Roar. And... Bramblewood Guardian works very well with Ferocious Roar, and it's an Uterra card, where I'm trying to stock up with as many Uterra cards as possible. This is a really tough call because Forge Plate Sentry 2 is just an incredible rank 2 creature. Certainly has the potential to win games with a like a strength in numbers and a Forge Plate Sentry, but I'm going to take the Bramblewood Guardian. I think I'm get more use out of my Avatar and my Life Shaper, and Bramblewood Guardian does wear the growth spells pretty well. So, and here I have to take a Alloyin card. Probably I want the second Shardblade Assassin, although I could play the Aegis Pulse. Already have both the Shardblade and the Bear Rider. I think the Aegis Pulse is questionable, but if Aegis Pulse is good in any deck, it's going to be good in this type of deck. So, yeah, I'm going to try it. I might regret this, but I'm going to try the Aegis Pulse. And then Ghost Scale Cobra is an excellent blocking creature. In particular, a level 1 Ghost Scale Cobra can, if you're willing to take a little bit of damage, can kill many level 2 creatures in a relatively short number of turns with the poison. So, happy to take Ghost. Oh. Okay. Tough decision. I could take yet another Strength in Numbers, which is certainly a good card in this deck. Another Nexus Pilot, which is excellent. I really like Shardplate Delver. Again, works very well with Ferocious Roar. Works well with the Aegis Pulse that I just grabbed. I think I want a Shardplate Delver. The Strength in Numbers is tempting, but I already have 2 Strength in Numbers and 1 Enrage and 2 Roars. I'm going to go with the Delver. I think it's important that I have enough strong creatures in this deck so that I'm able to establish a strong board presence prior to roaring. And again, Shardplate Delver is a creature that will often trade favorably early in the game. So Swamp Moss Lurker, great blocker, no doubt there. Interesting choice here between the Thicket and the Deepwood Rider. I think I'm going to take the Thicket. Again, I like Thicket with Roar. Again, you put a Roar on a Thicket. It's annoying for your opponent to block it, but it can also deal real damage if your opponent ignores it. And what am I looking at here? How many Alloyin cards do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Alloyin cards. So on the one hand, I'd like not to end up with another Alloyin card because having the extra Alloyin card hurts my Avatar. I think 8's probably as many as I want in order to still get good use out of the Avatar. Tower Vanguard, I have 1 Aegis Conscript and 1 Aegis Pulse to activate my Tower Vanguard, which is not particularly a lot, and I mean, it is a nice high health creature which helps it wear the buffs, but I think I'm just going to be happier taking the Toxic Spores to stay almost mono Uterra. And very happy to grab a Venom Fang as my last pick. So